Welcome to the Kelly Kounts Macros Podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Mozdy, and today this episode comes from something that everyone struggles with. I get direct messages and asking this question all the time. Do you ever find yourself craving chips and pizza and chocolate, something sweet or salty and crunchy in the evenings after you have done so good all day? These tips that work like gangbusters, I will share with you so that you don't find yourself spiraling out of control when the cravings kick in. I'm excited to share that the $10 coaching week Fall into Fat Loss is open. It starts September 8th at 7 p.m. So if you're interested in a custom roadmap to decrease your weight and body fat for $10, the link will be in the show notes, or head on over to my free Facebook community, Kelly Kounts Macros, counts with a K, to register so that you can get your fall plan into place. Fall is the perfect time for structure and a plan as school is back in session and the summer festivities are finally dying down. So this week inside the Kelly Kounts Macros Clubhouse membership, we made the taco dip. It was on the meal plan to take to picnics. All the Clubhouse members love the recipes. This recipe is beyond easy. It's yummy, it's healthy, but yet full of flavor. So it's easy to make and take to any picnic or for the upcoming football season. It crushes the cravings and leaves room for an adult beverage at the picnic or the game. Plus, everyone likes it. I promise you, you will go home with an empty plate. Right now, my Clubhouse members are using my click and make recipes so that the yummy recipes shoot right into the My Macros Plus app. They are always family friendly. Kids are begging for more, and easy meal prep, and also easy to make with leftovers for another meal. I also posted the recipe reel on my Instagram, so check it out. The recipes are clickable. It's a click and make recipe inside of the Clubhouse, but you have to be a Clubhouse member for it to shoot right into the app. You decide on your portion size, feed your people, done. Always family-friendly meals and desserts inside of the monthly membership. Before we get into today's episode, I want to read you a 5-star review of the podcast. It is labeled "Looking Forward to Learning." I was recently introduced to Kelly Kounts Macros on Facebook. After participating in a few coach calls, listening to this podcast, and hearing from others how the shred has helped them, I'm excited to see how the shred can help me. I've learned so much and it makes me want to learn more, so one day I can have the success that so many others have had. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, listener. I cannot wait to see the results you get from the shred. The shred registration does open September 9th. Stay tuned to register for that. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of today's podcast. I'm going to be honest, some of you are feeling sorry for yourself and thinking that dieting has to be awful and cannot wait until the diet is over. I want you to have something sustainable and do something different this fall season. This school year, it will be different, yet if you don't make a change and you're feeling stuck, you're gonna continue to feel stuck. So let's go over some tips and rewiring of the brain that needs to happen in our game changers for those evening cravings. So I know this is the way it goes. Suddenly you find yourself craving ice cream after dinner or chips in the late afternoon. This is due to the dopamine pathway. After a dopamine hit, a chemical in your brain, you may crash, feel irritated, and crave more of what you got with that initial pleasure. So this creates a cycle where you eat, experience pleasure, but then feel the pain of wanting it again and again, and you're trapped in a cycle of cravings. So you could ask yourself, would you eat a bowl of vegetables? This is a simple test. If the answer is no, then you're not truly hungry. Ghrelin, this is the hormone that reminds us to eat, is released, but you don't always have to respond to that reminder. The connection between the brain and the gut is often referred to as the gut-brain axis. This connection originates early in development when the brain and the gut are physically linked and share a common origin. So during the development of an embryo, the cells that form the brain and the cells that form the gut come from the same group of cells. So this shared origin creates a deep connection between the two systems. As the embryo grows, the brain and the gut remain closely connected through the vagus nerve, a major nerve that communicates between these organs. This connection allows for constant communication, influencing how we feel, think, and even how our digestion works. This is why our stress or emotions can affect your gut, leading to sensations like butterflies in your stomach or digestive issues when you're anxious. Does anybody get diarrhea when they're anxious? So the gut-brain axis is a vital part of how our body and mind interact. They're rooted in this early connection. I used to do ultrasound for 20 years, and on those first trimester scans, you could see this connection. So the dopamine pathway always plays a key role in rewarding behavior, like treating yourself to a high-calorie drink from Starbucks, say a peppermint mocha, because you feel you've earned it after a good day at work. Companies are well aware of this and create products specifically designed to trigger these reward pathways. But why aren't we more informed about this so that we can take control? Food directly influences our mood, and we're constantly seeking ways to make ourselves happier. Diet and exercise are 1.5 times more effective than any medication. I'm going to repeat that. Diet and exercise together are 1.5 times more effective than any medications. Doctors should be prescribing this. Eat better, exercise, take your nutrition seriously to combat the mood, the depression, the anxiety. Doctors, prescribe diet and exercise. Okay, so let's talk about some morning nutrition tips. While I always suggest protein in the morning, eating more foods that are higher in dairy, soy, nuts, and cherries for more dopamine. Cottage cheese or yogurt provides a high dopamine boost. Almonds, rich in many minerals. Bananas contain vitamins like B6 and C, which also help in dopamine synthesis. Dark chocolate contains chemicals that boost brain health and dopamine levels. Eggs are packed with protein. They aid in dopamine production. Fish, especially salmon, is high in the omega-3 fatty acid, which support brain function and dopamine regulation. Leafy greens like spinach and kale are high in folate, which is important for dopamine production. Nuts and seeds, healthy fats, apples, they have an antioxidant that protects dopamine cells. Green tea contains amino acids, which also can boost dopamine production. So those are some morning nutrition tips. Evening nutrition tips. Once again, protein being number one, but at night, consume foods higher in serotonin, like eggs, turkey, fish, maybe some sweet potatoes, squash, or quinoa. These can help boost serotonin, improving your mood and sleep, which is close to melatonin. So if you struggle with nighttime awakenings, try these foods in the evening. So some practical tips to tackle cravings. Number one, eat volume foods and protein-rich, nutrient-dense foods if you suffer from evening cravings. My clients that eat their protein and eat enough during the day have slayed and demolished the cravings. You should be eating at least 50% of your daily calories by, let's say, 4 o'clock. Now, that's not a magic number, a magic time, but what's happening here is that you're depriving yourself of calories during the day, often by trying to eat too clean or focusing only on protein or too busy to eat. And this over restriction and lack of sufficient calorie intake during the day leaves you hungry later on, leading to cravings and overeating. Many people adopt a hyper clean eating mentality, crushing it with protein and avoiding the bad foods, which we know there's no such thing as bad foods. They think I'm doing really well during the day by not eating these foods, but then they find themselves tempted later on. So protein alone won't keep you from getting hungry. Your total calorie intake also dictates that. So make sure you're eating at least 50% of your calories, if not more, before 4 o'clock. A common pattern is having a very small breakfast or no breakfast at all, followed by a very late lunch, and then eating a lot later in the day. So if this is you, eating more food earlier in the day has many benefits. It helps manage hunger, maintains energy levels, supports building and maintaining lean body mass, and reduces the cravings at night. Number 2, don't view cravings as something weird or abnormal that you shouldn't have. Thinking this way, I think, creates the idea that you can't or you shouldn't have certain foods, labeling them as bad. And you might wonder, why am I having this craving? I can't have that food. However, research on willpower shows that your brain uses glucose to make decisions, and resisting cravings consumes energy. A study looked at the energy cost of people sitting next to a bowl of M&Ms. Some participants told themselves, I can't have this, while others thought, I can't have this now, but I will have it later. The first group, who tried to completely resist the M&Ms, used more energy than those who postponed the gratification. The key is to allow yourself the option, but wait 20 minutes to see if you still want it. This delay helps you move past the initial impulse. For example, if you crave chips between 4 and 6 p.m., tell yourself to wait until 6:30 p.m. Chances are 50% or more of the time, you will be successful in resisting. If you know your craving time is between 8 and 10 p.m., allow yourself to have the food at 10:30 p.m. If you still want it at 10:30, go ahead. If not, great. The craving is gone and you're heading to bed. If you give in to your cravings as soon as it arises, you form a bad habit, teaching yourself that the cravings control you. Instead, acknowledge the craving and its intensity, but don't give in immediately. There's a big difference between saying, I'm not allowed to have this, and saying, I'm not going to have this right now. Recognize that you have the power to wait, and this approach will give you more control over your cravings than you might think. Number 3, plan for the craving and pre-track it. So back when I first started macro counting, there was this dessert that I loved at Dairy Queen. It was called Triple Chocolate Utopia. In fact, a lot of the Dairy Queens will still make it, but it was full of rich, gooey, yummy chocolate yumminess. That's the only way I can describe it. And I loved it. I craved it. So what I did was I pre-tracked it and I worked my day around it. So plan for the craving and pre-track it. Number 4, and my last tip for today, eat high volume, substantial meals instead of snacking all day. I have a lot of clients that snack. They never feel full. So bulk up with veggies. You know, if you're a runner, it can make you ravenous. Increased activity, hard workouts, and even hormonal changes can increase hunger. So adjust your calories accordingly, especially if you feel like you have a bottomless pit. Eat bigger meals with high volume foods, okay? Bulk it up with veggies and be sure you're getting your protein in. Thank you all for tuning in. This was just part 1. Please, please, please check in for part 2. I hope this was helpful. Come into the free Facebook community group and let me know what you are implementing this week. I would love for everyone to share this episode and tag me on my social media so that I can say thanks. Also, leaving a 5-star review on the podcast helps me help more people. Who knows, maybe you will even hear your review on here. It's time to get out of your own way. out of your own head. I will simplify it all. I know that you continue to be on social media, Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, trying to find the answer. The answer is just make the decision. The $10 coaching week link will be in the show notes. You deserve to feel better in your own skin. That wraps up this episode of Kelly Kounts Macros. Don't forget to tune in next Monday on the second part of crushing the evening cravings. Now go out, keep it simple, and remember, you're always doing better than you think you are.